Hi everyone, Russ Thomas here from RST Coaching Academy. Welcome to a new episode of Money Talks, where we talk about money and how to make more of it. So hi everybody, welcome to Money Talks podcast and also on the Roku channel today. Today we're visiting with my friend Kyle Baxter. He's a fellow licensee with Grant Cardone out of Miami. We are both 10X business certified business coaches, and we're doing different things with our license program. But we have this same ability to tie into Grant Cardone's success over the last 30 years, make use of all of his tools, all of the things that he's provided for us in the area of sales training and in coaching. So Kyle Baxter from the Atlanta, Georgia area, I want to welcome you on board today for this podcast, Money Talks, and we're going to have a good time chatting back and forth about each other, about business, what we're about, and how we can be a benefit to the world, okay? So what I'd like to do is just kind of start off with asking you for a resume of yourself, I guess, basically, where you come from, your background, how you got into business, and so on and so forth. Whatever you feel is relevant, just go for it, and we will just get going from there, okay? Take it away.
Sounds great, Russ. Hey, I really appreciate you having me on today. You know, I look forward to collaborating anytime with you, Russ. You're a great guy. I think you do a really good job of what you do in your coaching career. Well, who is Kyle Baxter? Kyle Baxter, they call me the Big Bulldog. I'm not only am I a business coach, a 10X business coach, I'm a 10X business advisor. But it started, I'm originally from Rome, Georgia, small town. Didn't graduate high school, hated school, went to school for the women, had no reason to learn. It's just up that chasing chicks. Of course, that got me nowhere. So I quit high school, got a few jobs, didn't like it. My biggest goal was I want to get out of this town because I want to be one of these rich guys. I want to be a rich guy. It wasn't so much about the money, but as a kid, I saw that these guys that had all this money, they could do what they wanted, when they wanted, with who they want, and that was the goal. I said, that is me right there. And so the quickest way out was the military. So I ended up joining the Army, and I spent 10.5 years in the Army. I'm a combat vet. I'm a retired airborne ranger. Bodies fell apart. I did 20 years. That was initially the goal, but I had some medical issues coming there that pumped me out, that kept me from being on jump status. You can't be a special ops guy unless you're able to jump at airplanes. But 10.5 years there, got out from there, did a couple of years as a police officer. That was kind of my job that decompressed me, if you will, from being, pumped up all the time in the Army, come into that. And it was a pretty good changeover, if you will. But I enjoyed the job. The problem is it had a lot of politics involved with it. You think you see all the garbage going on today. Everybody hates cops and, defund police and all that stuff. Those guys are needed every day. And that's the last thing we need to do is defund the police. I'm not trying to get into politics here, just keep it back. But my point was I was wanting to help my community best I could. I knew I couldn't save the world. I didn't go into it with that mindset that I was going to be, the guy that saved the world. But I wanted to help the community everywhere I could. The problem was I was fighting my department. So I finally got fed up with fighting the bureaucracy and, get shot at for $2 a day. I said, it's time for Kyle to move on. I moved on. I left that. And my ex-wife carried me to the fine state of Michigan, which is probably the coldest place in the world besides Alaska. I figured, well, okay, that's to get me back from being a bad husband. And then she divorced me after she got me there. I said, okay. After a year, I called her. I said, you won, okay. But no, I wasn't bad. She was great. She gave me 2 wonderful kids. I can't complain about her. We just got married too young as kids having kids. But we got to Michigan, and I was working as a licensed, I'm a journeyman electrician by trade. I'd been doing that prior to us moving up to Michigan. And so I looked around for jobs. Her job is what carried us up there. She got this promotion to be a manager for her own store. And so I'm looking around and I'm talking to some of the companies. Well, they wouldn't want to pay anything. You know, I was at that time, I was probably on the tail end of my third year apprenticeship, getting ready to take the journeyman's license. I was making about $20 an hour. I get up there and they want to pay me $8. Like, dude, I can't live off $8 an hour. Dude, I was making more than that down south. But anyway, so I looked around and I played Mr. Mom for about 3 months. And let me tell you what, anybody that says the stay-at-home mom didn't have a job, it's crazy. Okay, let me tell you, that is tough. Never do I wish that on anybody. And all the stay-at-home moms that do that, you need awards, you need badges, you need medals. That's a tough job out there.
Indeed.
So I go, and years ago as a kid, I'd worked in like a Winn-Dixie grocery store. And so the Myers is a big grocery chain up in Michigan. So I went there one day and applied for the job. And the manager kind of looks at me and said, "You going to work here?" I said, "Yeah, dude, I got experience. You know, I worked years ago. I hadn't forgot much." He said, I said, "Look, I just got to work. I got to get out of the house. I can't do Mr. Mom, Dad thing." Okay. They got to laugh. They said, "Well, okay." So I did that for, a couple of months, and it was a lot of fun. I, interacted with these young kids working with them. So, I'm the old guy on the street at that time, because I was probably in my 40s, but still, compared to some of the average workers in some of the grocery stores. So I enjoyed that. I got to mentor some kids, and you get them on the right track. So that was fun. But in the meantime, I was looking, I had to get something else. I needed to figure out what my next career was going to be. So I applied for a manufacturing job at Prince Corporation. And I was probably one of the biggest manufacturers in that area. They were automotive. They had 5 plants, a tech center. They were the biggest there. So I got hired by Prince, worked in manufacturing about 16 years, automotive total. Worked there. I did that I was probably at Prince about 12 and a half years. And then they got bought out by Johnson Controls. And then, of course, the culture changed. And when that happened, I saw the writing on the wall. So Kyle decided to leave. At that point, I was not getting ahead in my millionaire status as I had as a kid, this super wealthy guy. And then I wanted to be on my own. I got tired of working for people that, not that I thought I was better than them, but, to have a major college degree or BS or MBA and be dumber than me, that's a problem. And I got tired of working. So I said, you know what, I'm going to go out on my own. So I looked around for a couple of businesses. I was looking at about 3 of them at the time, and ended up buying a convenience store of all things. And I wish I had.
That was, you bought a what?
A convenience store.
Convenience store.
Yeah. Now they call them party stores up north, so we'll have to get the transition of language here. And I wish I had a picture to show you, Russ, because you'd see this place. It was a dump. Okay. I never ran a party store in my entire life. I had no idea what I was doing. As a matter of fact, I had a lady that lived in there, used to walk down the street in front of it all the time. And after I acquired it, I said something to her, and she said, "Yeah, I walk by this thing every day. Been doing it for 10 years. I've never walked in. I thought it was a strip club." I said, "What, strip club?" She said, "Yeah, no." She said, "I was too scared to go in. There's no windows in the place." It wasn't. This place was atrocious. So I had the thing sided and all that before I even bought it. The guy's going to sell it to me. I said, "Wait a minute, dude, what do you mean?" I said, "Dude, I got to have this cider. It's not going to praise for me to get the money to acquire this. If you're going to sell it, you just do it my way." So I had it cider and I bought it, and I ran it for about a year, and wasn't bad, but I had to build this thing pretty much scratch. Because the guy that owned it prior to me, he just run it in the ground. Now there's a little bit of history on the store. The store had been there like 50 years. The guy that lived behind my store, his parents are the one that started. I don't know how many years prior to that. So I had a history, and I knew that. And I did my research, and the problem is I didn't do enough. Because back in the day, convenience stores had like a 35% margin, beer and wine, all this. But dude, not even more today, it's about a 10%. But I didn't know that. Live and learn. You know what you know what you don't know, and then you don't know what you don't know, and that's what bites you right there, especially. We'll talk about that a little more later on.
Right.
But I did that, and after the first year, I said, "This is not enough income. This isn't going to cut it. I got to figure something out." So I decided to expand. I expanded 2,500 square feet to the left, another 10 feet on the other side, added more walk-in coolers, put in a full deli. And for food, we did roasted chicken, all kind of stuff. I had my wife, she left Prince. and came, and she kind of ran the deli. We ended up doing catering too, and that's where our money was at. So we got it going on, and like I said, I ran that business about 12 years. I managed $1.5 million, nothing fancy. But the problem is, I really didn't buy a business. I did, but I bought a job because I was there 16 hours a day. See, the mom and pop guys that do that, it's two things you got to worry about: hands being in your kitty, getting in your register, and then beer going out the back door, because that'll get your license yanked away. You go to jail. So we got a little burnout. Plus, I was fighting the state of Michigan. That's probably the most unbusiness friendly state in the world. Just one of them. I know there's several, but that's an anti-business state. And I'll tell you why. If you look at it, you look back to the past, all the businesses, even in Wisconsin, they get to the lake, they stop. They stay in Wisconsin. They don't cross the lake to Michigan. Down in Ohio, they stop because those states are friendly to businesses. Michigan's not, for whatever reason. I don't know why. So I was kind of burned out. We both were. I was burned out. The wife was burned out, and I could tell that. So I approached her one day. I said, "Look, I'll sell this place on one condition." She said, "Well, say it." I said, "I hadn't been home in 30 years. I'll go home." And she said, "Let's go." I'm like, "Really?" And that was a major deal for her. My wife comes from a really big family, and she'd never been away from family her whole life. I grew up. I was never home. I was in the military, always gone. But we did it. Came back to the fine state of Georgia, and then I got into real estate. I've been in real estate prior to that, just like as a part-time guy. I had a one multi-unit, 4-unit, really, a 4-unit, and I had about 3 single-family homes. I was dabbling in real estate. So we get back. I had all but 2 when I left Michigan. 2 single-family homes I still own. And then I did that, and I was also selling life insurance, and I really enjoyed that. I was a broker for about 5 companies. I brokered in Michigan, Georgia, and Indiana, and that was fun. The only problem like that, I was doing a lot of travel. Set up appointments, and I'd go to Indiana somewhere, and I'd stay there a week or 2 or stuff. The wife wasn't real crazy about it. She was supportive, but I get what you're saying. I got tired of travel. So what did I do? I thought, well, what else do I know? I don't really know anything manufacturing. So I went right back into what I swore I'd never go back into manufacturing. So I did that. I was doing real estate too, and I thought, well, let me go into manufacturing. I need to really blow my real estate up, but I need some extra funds. I thought, well, if I can go and get a manufacturing job, I'd been in leadership probably 14 of the 16 years I was in manufacturing. I could take all that money and help scale our real estate business. And my wife said, "Why are you doing fine with just real estate?" I said, "Honey, I need to grow. I got to have that cash." Well, I should have listened to her, because I'm glad she's my business partner, because when I have the tunnel vision, those blinders on, she's the one that says, "Wait a minute, stop. You're not looking straight."
Thank God for wives.
Yeah. I mean, she's great. She's not bitchy about it. She's not, but she's like, hey, she'll ask the question, "Hey, did you think about this?" I'm like, "What? Oh God, I'm glad, I'm glad she brought it up." There've been several business deals I've had going on that she caught something that I was so focused on this thing, I'm not looking outside on some of the interferences she caught. So I love it. So anyway, I did it anyway. Didn't listen to her. Of course, the schedule for manufacturing gets crazy. I really wasn't able to blow my real estate up like I wanted. So then, that was right before COVID. I got laid off, because I've never been laid off from a job my entire life. Got laid off, went back to full-time real estate, and then COVID hit. So my momentum got tanked during COVID. Of course, COVID impacted tons of small businesses out there. It's crazy. You don't even want to get me started.
Yeah.
And all that COVID garbage. So anyway, after that, we got through COVID, and then I came upon the Cardone licensee program, which when they called me, really? I thought it was a prank call, because I didn't know. I thought, you know what? I'm going to set up this call at Gandhi, not a racial thing, but some guy from India or, the foreign country gets on the phone, be a little mad, but it wasn't. It was actually from Cardone.
They called you out of the blue? It was basically a cold call, or did you made contact with the company first?
They got hold of me somehow. I don't know, because I known Grant Cardone. Wasn't a big follower per se. And let me tell you this little quick story, because I told Grant this to his face. People thought I was crazy. My first inkling of Grant Cardone I'm watching either a podcast or something on TV, and I see this guy. And this is my first reaction. Who is this loudmouth Texan that thinks he knows it all? So I just flipped on, going something else, right? So, like I said, I'm in the real estate space. So about a week later, I'm watching a buddy of mine, real estate guru, and he's got this loudmouth Texas on his podcast. I'm like, well, you know what? I'm missing something here, because why would he have this guy on? So I listened, and so I got corrected pretty quick. From the loudmouth Texan that thinks he knows everything was actually a loudmouth coon ass from Louisiana. It's time worth $900 million.
Duh.
And I don't like to prejudge people, but you kind of think, well, who is it? So that was really a wake up call for me. That's how I came my first contact with Grant Cardone. But I don't know how I got in that ecosystem, because actually I got an email, scheduling the call, and I said, well, okay. And that's how it happened. And when I got the call, of course, Elliot's wanted to call me. He's the director of the licensees, and also one of the sales directors at Cardone Industries. And I thought, are you for real? Really? Yeah. I said, I'm in. They said, well, I had to explain to you. I said, I don't care. If Grant Cardone is willing to give me his stuff, his name, and he's branded, and Grant protects his brand like you would not believe. And, all business really should do that, because your brand, chief. But that opportunity, I said, I don't care what it costs. I'm in. So I did it, got into that program. It's a great program. I can't say enough. I really ought to be the sales guy for the licensee. Well, it's now name's changed to the 10X Business Coach Program, still licensee program. Can't say enough. The sports there, it's just great. It's phenomenal. So that was going pretty good. And then almost a year ago, Brandon Dawson, which is a big guy from Wall Street, he paired up with Grant, and they started a company called Cardone Ventures, and that's how I became a 10X Business Advisor. It's a franchise, not bought it. They'd mentioned it, just licensees, and because we kind of got all the skinny before everybody else. We're kind of like Grant's chosen few, if you will.
Right.
Because he uses us to get his word out. He wants
inside tracks that we have.
Right.
Yeah.
Grant wants to reach 8.5 billion people on this planet, and that's one of the ways he's doing it. That's the way he is. That's his his mission. And so as soon as they announced that, I said, I'm in. I didn't know anything about it, didn't care. I'm in. And matter of fact, I talked to a couple of businesses before he signed a contract. And then I think what's really crazy, they were talking to people about it at GrowthCon last year. And I stood up on stage in front of God and everybody. They're streaming in 55,000 people. There's another 47,000 there. And I stood up on that stage and said, I will be the #1 10X Business Advisor 2023. And there's 3 other guys on stage with me, right? So I come off stage, and my wife goes, yeah, that's kind of pretty rude. What about the other guys? I said, honey, I wasn't trying to talk about them. Other guys are great. I know them. I said, but what I did is I hung my butt out there to hang, because now I've got to be #1, or I'm more like you know what I'm saying, bad.
That's where the accountability comes in.
Right.
Yeah.
And so what that really did was I set the stage is every morning when I wake up, what's the first thing? I write my goals, but the first thing on my mind is, what am I going to do today to be #1? Because I don't have an option. Because come April of 2024 is the next GrowthCon. When I get there, I've got to be #1. So I've been doing that now probably for almost a year. But as a 10X Business Advisor with Cardone Ventures, what we do is we assist small and mid-sized businesses grow and scale through proven strategies and systems and methodologies. And there's no other company out there doing that today. There's a couple of big money guys off Wall Street that'll work with businesses to help them scale. But it costs you about $5 million. But there's nobody doing it for small and mid-sized businesses, Cardone Ventures.
Well, I think what they're doing, what Grant is doing, that I think is so powerful, is that there's the advising capability, the coaching capability, mentoring capability, but they also have the tools to give a person through the sales training, through the coaching system, and so on. And so it's not just, let's get you all pumped up and then you go out and do something, but we want to get you acclimated. We want to get you trained so that you can, with the tools that we have, with a 30-year proven track record that says something that is going to, if you follow these things, these steps, you're going to be successful in your own right. Set your goals, talk about them, and go forward. Go ahead and don't stop. Get started and don't stop.
Well, that's true. That was probably one of the biggest things that really blew my mind. Of two people coming together, those had to be the ultimate experts in both sides of the field, because Grant's expertise on that side, massive promoter, number one influencer, 5 business books. You had all that acclaim, major, and number one sales guy in the world, not just country, the world. And here was Brandon Dawson, that was big expert, sold his last business for 77 times EBITDA, which is still a record on Wall Street, for $151 million. So what they did was, there's 10 elements to scale. And, the first three, strategy, marketing, and sales. And so that's kind of Grant's domain. Well, what Brandon brought along was the other ones, which was, operations, finance, people, leadership, data, technology, and investment. The Grant actually had 4. He kind of has investments too. But when you put those two together, now you've got a total product system that everybody can follow. And it's great. It is the 10X coach and licensing the coach business is great. And see, what I do is having both of those under my belt for businesses that are from $0 to $1 million. That's the hat I'm wearing with those guys. And it's the 10X business coach hat, because typically all businesses, to get to that $1 million revenue mark, they need to have a strategy, and marketing and sales are the two main things you got to have. You got to promote, generate prospects, generate customers. Then you got to close the deal. You got to sell. You got to be able to have conversion. That's just to get to $1 million. And once I get to $1 million mark with that business, then I put on the business advisor hat. And now we're going to keep going, because part of the business advisor thing that Brandon brought along is one of the methodologies called a breakpoint methodology. And when I talk about breakpoint, some people might say, what's he talking about? Well, there's breakpoints. The first breakpoint's from 0 to 3 million. The other's from 3 to 8 million. And then breakpoint 3 is from 8 to 15 million on up to 125 million. This is a methodology that Brandon put together based off of over 15 years of some serious research of over 4,000 businesses industry-wide. There's not a particular industry, all the industries. And that's where he developed this. And in each one of the breakpoints, there are certain elements you need in there to be successful, because if you're missing them, there's two things that can happen in the business as you're starting to grow and scale and you go through the breakpoints. If say, let me give you an example. Say you skip a breakpoint. Say you go from breakpoint 1 and you jump to 3. So you went from 3 million, now you're in the 8 to 15 million thing. Well, in breakpoint 3, first breakpoint, you're going to need strategy, marketing, sales. Breakpoint 2, then you're going to add probably operations and finance. And then in 3, you're going to add people and leadership. Well, if you skipped, say, breakpoint 2, jump to 3, and you didn't add, say, your operations, elements in there, and your finance, how to really read your balance sheets, your P&L, and set your budgets for your business, you could do what they call a setback. And a setback is when you come back one breakpoint.
I go backwards.
Right. When your revenue drops, you come back. And there's also one, if you go back 2 breakpoints, that's called a slip back. And that is catastrophic for any and all businesses. That's the last thing you do. So what I do with Cardone Ventures is we take these businesses and we give them these tools. We show them what they need to have. We provide the tools, show them how to use it, and walk them through the entire system to whatever a business wants to, whatever their goals need to be. Yep. If they want to be 125 million, we can carry them to 125 million.
I think what is so amazing and fantastic with these two guys, Grant Cardone and Brandon Dawson, is they have a system, a step-by-step system, procedure that if you follow these steps, you will be successful. You may start out with nothing, but we have a way to take you to $1 million, and then we have a way to take you all the way to 125 million if you want to go that far. So it's not like you're on your own, with you every step of the way. I think that's awesome. On a personal note, Kyle, what would you say has been your greatest accomplishment to date in your life?
Well, besides having the 3 kids I have, it would actually have to be this new venture I have with the 10X business. I know it sounds great, but it really is. I've done everything. I've been in sales most of my life. I've sold vacuum cleaners, cars, garages, houses. I've sold everything. Now, I used to think I was a pretty good sales guy until I ran across Grant Cardone, and I just figured out how bad I sucked. It's amazing, that difference. And but I've tried it all, and I've always been looking for what is that one thing that's going to get me where I need to be. And the 10X Business Advisor is going to be my program. Because, I'm not exactly a young guy anymore. I'm a little behind the power curve where I want to be. My initial goal was retire at 50.
Well, you're younger than I am.
Yeah, but not by much, okay? And of course, age really doesn't matter anyway. And I tell people, I've heard people say, yeah, man, I'm too old to do that. It's never too old to start. You'd be surprised. Whatever you want to accomplish, you put your mind to it, massive action, you'll get it done.
Yeah.
You just got to have the right mindset. And of course, we don't see that in everyday stuff. Got on the news, got on the TV. 10 minutes of TV, you'll become the most negative person in the world. I don't even watch it. Can't stand it. There's nothing positive whatsoever on any of the mainstream media or the cable, any of them. It's all negative, negative, negative. What really kills me when I get to talk to some of these businesses, right now, we do have some high inflation. It's come down some. But we're actually in a recession. Now, if you were to watch CNBC or Fox Business, all that, you'll hear them talking, there's no recession yet. No, there it is. We're already in it. And I predicted that last year by second quarter this year, it has started. And by the end of this year, it's going to get worse. And so how is that going to impact businesses? Well, let me tell you, if you got the proper foundations, you can still survive all these things. And I can show you how to do that. That's what Brandon has devised. Matter of fact, from COVID, because Cardone Venture started right at the first part of COVID, right before COVID started. During COVID, Cardone Ventures were already working with about 45 different companies. And let me tell you this, all the way through COVID, out of all 45 of those companies, not a single one of them went out of business. Now, did the revenue probably come down some? I guess so. When they shut you down, you can't impact your customers, your client. Yeah, not a one of these businesses went out. And here's why. Brandon's he just came out with a book that's coming out, I think, next month. But he wrote like an ebook, which is called Emergency Business Response Book, that helped those businesses during that time of COVID. How do I maintain and keep going until we get out of this and get back up running again? And that ebook alone is not just for a massive COVID type episode, but you can use all the tools and methodologies he talks about in there for a high recessionary time, high inflation. Another example, the economy took a dump in 96. It did again in 08. Remember 08? Economy dump, real estate. Well, if you had all the basic fundamentals in place in your company, then you know what, you can survive that. And all businesses need to develop those type of safe holds to survive.
Yeah.
Put you out. You create your own economy. It's not the business. It's not the inflation or the guys. That's what I have to tell business owners. You are your own economy. And I think a lot of folks don't really understand the impact small and mid-sized businesses have. Let's give the Apple, for example. Apple today is a $3 trillion company. Okay, they got $100 million cash reserves sitting in the bank. You know what? If Apple were to shut down tomorrow for whatever reason, I know the news would be made to be all over, right? But let me tell you what, that wouldn't be a blip on this economy. It just wouldn't. They don't impact that economy. But you take 500 or 600 small or mid-sized businesses and let them go out of business and watch the impact on the U.S. economy. And so that's what really has the economy. Everybody thinks it's all these big companies, but it's not. Small and medium-sized companies that run our economy in the U.S. today.
There's a lot of us out there, a lot of us entrepreneurs that maybe we're not in the massive industry, the massive business size, but taken as a group. When I was a salesman for Frito-Lay years ago, they had the major chain stores, and then they had the small ma and pa grocery stores and the bars, convenience stores and stuff. And they called that segment of their business, the big little accounts. It was small businesses individually, but taken as a whole, they were actually generating more business for the corporation, for Frito-Lay, than the big chain stores were. And that's what you're talking about there. Also, is that with just because of the numbers of the small entrepreneur, the small ma and pa, small franchisee or whatever, there's more of us than there is of them, of the big companies. I got to respect your time here a little bit. It's getting kind of late here on us, but let me just ask you, in your 25 years of life, I know you're older than that, but what would you say has been a big life lesson for you that has carried you, helped you to where you're at now, personally, business-wise?
Well, I'll tell you what, I've always been a goal setter.
A goal setter.
A goal setter, setting goals. I've
Uh-huh.
always had something I wanted to achieve, even from a small age. And this is where I think Grant came in to not only help me, but a lot of other people he impacts. Because he talks about, 10x, 10 times, think big goals. And if you go to all the gurus, and I've been to all the management courses and all the books, they talk about set goals that are obtainable. If you don't, you won't do them. Guys, that's really wrong. And let me tell you why those big gurus, they get paid to stand on stage to tell you that's wrong. And I'm going to give you a prime example. If you set a goal to make $100,000, or if you just set a goal to make $1 million, and here's what the regular guys will tell you: don't set it for $1 million. You won't reach that. If you don't, you'll never set another goal. Wrong. Here's the deal with goal setting. Okay, instead of doing 100,000 that people think is more realistic to achieve, I'll be able to achieve that and keep going. Why not set it for $1 million and put in all the massive action I need to, put everything in, be totally committed to hitting that goal, and say at the end of that year, I only hit $800,000. Well, what kind of impact do you think it's going to have on you? $100,000 or $800,000?
Yeah, that's right.
And see, that's the difference, and that's where I think people get misguided on that. And I've always set goals, and have I always hit them? No. But be honest with you, back in my years growing up, I don't believe I was setting my goals big enough. But I've always gotten to where I get inspired about things. Grant calls, I read Grant's book, Be Average or Be Obsessed. And I loved it. And I thought, dang, I think Grant knew me before he wrote this book, because I had the same mindset. He calls it upset, being obsessed about something. And I call it about being inspired, because when you're really inspired about something, you've got 110% focus, and all the noise outside just bounces off of you because you're such inspired. Your creativity blows up, your motivation's there. It's day to day, and you just go. Nothing gets in your way, and any roadblocks, you just plow right through them. And that's the same as Grant says, but when you're obsessed about it, be obsessed. That's what you got to be. So I would say that's carried me along. Like I said, I don't feel bad because I didn't hit my retire at 50 thing. Things happen, but that's okay. That doesn't mean I shut down. I readjust the goal and let's move forward. So now I've set it big. And so my current one, in 10 years, I need to have over 10 million in the bank. Not for me, because you die, you can't carry it with you. But I'm going to leave a legacy to my kids and my grandkids. And that's right. What I'm going to do.
Yep. Anything else? Goals are great. And that's what gets us out of bed and gets us going every day is I've got a goal. I've got a definite major purpose in my life, and I'm striving for that. Maybe a little, but every day I'm doing something. I'm taking steps for that. Anything else that you would say, Kyle, has had an impact on your life?
Well, getting back to that is really, you got to have, what is your why? There's two things I think all humans on this earth always wonder about. What is my purpose?
Yep.
And how to get here. Now, depending on what religion you're from, you get different answers. But really, what is my purpose? And so me, what is my why? What do I want to achieve? So anytime I get, and I'm just human as anybody else, I have days I'm not 110% motivated, like, we'd all like to be. I'm a realist. But when I get that way, or I miss a sale, or I don't hit that goal, I just go back to my why, and why am I doing this? And that puts me right back on track to where I need to go, get me back on focus. And that's another thing. I don't care about the past. I could care less. 5, 10, 20 years ago, that's behind me. People need to start looking forward. What is your future for? You know, we've all made mistakes. We're all going to make mistakes along the way. Quit looking behind you. Learn from your mistakes and look forward. What's going to be my future? And whatever you set your mind to and you're fully committed to, guys, you can achieve it. I guarantee it. But you've got to have that full commitment in place to do it.
Right.
And business owners, courage. They got to have courage. Even the small businesses that hadn't got big yet, they at least had the courage to go out and start their own business. And that's a risk.
Takes a lot of guts. That's right. A lot of guts.
But from there, they had the courage to do that. Now they need to really get committed to get the knowledge they need. And let me tell you, I didn't have the knowledge I had in my stuff. I didn't have a clue. The first week I had to call the guy down the street. I didn't even understand how to order cigarettes right. And the guy helped me. And then, a couple years later, he hated my guts because I put him out of business. Not purposely, it's just the way it was. But, I didn't know then. If I knew then what I do now about growing and expanding businesses, dude, I'd have put Speedway Corporation out. I'd have run them out of the Midwest. I would have been the guy.
Yep. All right. Hey, and in closing, I know you're talking a lot about a business that maybe is getting to $1 million and taking them even farther. Talk to somebody now who is just starting out or just thinking about how they want to start a business. What would you say to a young person that has a dream to be self-employed, to own their own company? What would you say to by way of encouragement to help them to maybe get over the hump and to actually get out and start doing something? Any advice?
Well, yeah,
of course you do.
You know me, Bulldog. That's the mouth of the South. I got something to say. Well, the first thing, the core elements I was talking about scaling are sales. You got to have a strategy, marketing, and sales. Promote. There's 4 P's I tell people they need to worry about. Learn. Emotion is 1, profits 2, process is 3, and people's 4. What I mean by that is when you promote, you need to promote everything. Promote who you are. There's 7 promotes in the promote alone. And I won't get in all of them because I'll probably run you out of time. But you need to promote yourself, what you do, what kind of impact you have on people you do it for, whether it be clients or you have products. And then you need to promote your team. You need to promote your team on their wins. You promote your clients' wins. And then you need to teach your employees to promote your business too.
How about a person that's just flat out starting out? They're a solopreneur, I guess is what they call us now, just a one-man band. They don't have a team. They don't have a group of people. It's all them. Everything revolves around them.
Russ, let me tell you the stats today. There's 31.5 million small and mid-sized businesses today, okay? 25 million of them have 1 employee. That's
right.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And there's 5.3 million that have probably 3 to 6 employees. And there's only 600,000 businesses that have 12 or more employees. Okay. And that's what I'm talking about. That breakpoint 1 is considered the startup phase. And out of that, 97 to 98% of those businesses are still in the startup phase. They don't have to be. That's where the promotion and the sales and the process comes. Because this is how it works. Say you're a solopreneur. Here's your business, whatever it is. When you can generate, this is kind of a guideline we would go by. When you can generate $250,000 by yourself, at that point, there's another little methodology we teach called the rule of 3. At that point, you can afford to hire 2 more people. And what you're going to do is hire those 2. But when you hire those 2, you've already got promotion down. Promotion works because your profit's up. And that's the checkpoint. And when those 2 are working, now you need to document it. You got to have that process. What process am I using in promoting and sales that it's working? You document it. And then the 4th P is people. That's where you bring on two more people, because really three is you and then two more. And you set the expectations, and these people know exactly what to do, because all they're doing is modeling, mimic, and mastering what you're doing. Yep. So with three people, you're looking at revenue of $750 to $1.3 million. And then
the deal is to duplicate themselves, to duplicate the owner. Yeah, that's
what you do.
One of the ways of success is to duplicate your efforts through others. So, folks, there you have it. There you have it from an expert that's been around the block for many years. Obviously, he's been in a number of different businesses, actually different types of businesses, different industries of business. And now he's settled on something that he knows he's destined to be probably the rest of his life building. And I think he's got something that maybe could be a benefit to you. So, Kyle, somebody got intrigued. Lots of people got intrigued with us talking today, primarily with what you had to say based on your experience and knowledge and wisdom. How can they get in touch with you for more information?
There's several ways, Russ. One, you could email me.
Okay.
At kyleb@grantcardoneteam.com, or you can call me at 770-733-3470. And there's another way for your podcast. Later on, I'll add a link they can click on. If they'd like to set up a 15-minute call with me, it's no obligation. Well, we can discuss for 15 minutes, see where they're at, what they need, and just have a discussion. How can I help them if I can? There's very few businesses I can't help, but that's what I do for a living. I love that, helping people. So a 15-minute call, let's see what we can do just to get their business blown up.
Okay, great. So we've got email, we've got telephone or strategy call, 15-minute strategy call. So in closing, final thoughts, Kyle. 1 minute.
Oh, that's not going to be Russ. That's going to really be a push for 1 minute.
The timer is on. It's 10:14 here in Florida. So you got a minute, man.
Okay, there we go. Well, my final thoughts is, guys, if you're out there, you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to be a business owner, that's great. I support you 100%. Be careful who you talk to. There's three questions. Even if you're a solopreneur or you've gotten a little bigger, before you get somebody to help you, there's three questions you need to ask them. What's the biggest business they've ever grown? What's the most revenue they've ever created in a business? And then third, what's their largest exit strategy they had with the business? And if they can't answer those questions, that's not the right person you talk to.
You plug in the successful people, do what they did, and you will be successful also. Kyle, thanks for your time. It's been a blast. I've always enjoyed talking with you. We actually met, I don't know, maybe it was last December at a mastermind meeting. I think it was down in Miami, and have been friends ever since. So I'm honored to have you on with me today in this podcast and on to the Roku channel. By the way, we're going to get on the Amazon Fire channel program also. So anyway, thanks again for your time. Folks, anything you need from me, rstcoachingacademy.com. Anything you need from Kyle, you heard his phone number, his email address. Get in touch with him. Glad to help. We're for you. We're for you. Right, Kyle?
You got that, Russ. I appreciate it, brother.
All right, folks. So we'll see you next time. And stay cool. Keep pressing on. Go for it. Don't forget goals and your why. All right? Over and out. Thank you. Hi, thanks for being here today for another episode of Money Talks. I hope it was informative and encouraging to you. If it struck a chord in your heart, or if you have any questions or comments, please let us know. Visit us at rstcoachingacademy.com, call 386-286-2450, or send an email to email@rstcoachingacademy. Thanks again, and until next time, Be great.